Alrighty, welcome everybody to this 39th episode of Brownsville Tech Live. And tonight we've got some special guests. Actually, we've got a returning guest back from the spring. His name is Jack Yuen, and he returns back from the last time. He is the founder of MSX Boca Chica, and he's been working on several local projects. And he's also very familiar with SpaceX and Starbase and what's going on over there. And we've got somebody all the way from France who's spent a couple of weeks here in Brownsville, has eaten lots of tacos. So, Jack, welcome back.
Oh, well, glad to be back. Thank you for
Yeah,
having us.
yeah. So, kind of give us a little bit of a rundown of what's been going on over the last few months. I know you've got a couple of exciting things going on, couple of plans. And by the way, congratulations on your wedding anniversary. You should have told me. I would have rescheduled.
Oh, I thought about that. I think no problem. I think my wife even forgot about it.
Okay. Well, I just don't want her to be mad at me or something.
Well, since we talked last, I think we had the tailgate.
Right?
That was tailgate one,
Yeah.
and then we were approached by BISD CTE to help them out with their event. I
Uh-huh.
don't recall whether or not we had our talk before or after that. Anyways, we had a nice event there at Market Square,
Right?
and we had mini maker fair that we put together in 12 days.
Wow.
And then let's see. Since then, we had the Uvalde shooting that set us back another 2 months.
Yeah.
And then let's see, I had some visitor from Saudi Arabia, the MISC Foundation.
I
That
remember that.
had
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the next day we had Alex come.
Yeah.
But I've been in touch with Alex and his father for about geez,
Back in April.
yeah, just had to coordinate for him to get out here and make sure that he had a good experience being here.
Right.
One of the interesting things I think we should look at is the impact of SpaceX on foreign tourists.
Yeah.
There's people willing to come from around the world to come to SpaceX, and I think we should take note of that.
Right. Right.
There's people who maybe we should focus on the draw that SpaceX has to bring people. We have a guy all the way from halfway around the world here. Actually, that weekend I had two people, one from Saudi Arabia and one from France.
Right.
So there
Right.
there are people who are very interested in what's going on here.
Yeah, well, definitely, the space tourism industry is something that will eventually grow, not only both on the planet as well as outside the planet. But definitely, it is something that I think that the local area needs to capitalize on. I know that you had mentioned a while back to me that you were pursuing a project called The Beast, and I think it had to do with some kind of museum and kind of educational center. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I've done a fair share of traveling around the world during my life.
Yeah.
In 2000, my wife and I went to Bilbao, Spain,
Mm-hmm.
because they had built the Guggenheim. The architect was Frank Gehry, who I used to live nearby down in Santa Monica. He was about three blocks away, and everybody hated him because of what he did to his house.
Yeah.
And then 15 years later, I hear about Frank Gehry being the architect on the Guggenheim in Bilbao, and Helen and I hopped on a plane and went out there. and saw it. I had never heard of Bilbao before that time, and they had built a museum out of titanium. It was the first structure that was kind of a free-flowing structure, and it
Wow.
was in the James Bond movie, the World Is Not Enough. And then what
Uh,
happens is they thought, okay, if we build this thing, maybe we can attract some attention, and maybe we'll break even in 15 to 20 years. They broke even in less than 2 years.
yeah.
It was 110 or 140 million dollars. I can't remember,
Yeah.
but it's that kind of a draw to a city. Now,
Yeah.
around the same time, there there was a structure called the Udvar-Hazy Smithsonian Air and Space out in Chantilly. That was in the movie Transformers 2. That's where the let's see, SR-71, the Lockheed Blackbird. It was a Decepticon.
Yeah.
And what happened was Udvar-Hazy was built. It's five acres under roof. The cost, I think, was the final cost came out to be about 120 million or something like that. But what happened was Stephen Udvar-Hazy was asked to make a donation, and he had made $1 billion leasing airplanes. I think he was originally from Serbia or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And anyways, what happens is he asked the Smithsonian people asked him for a donation. He wrote a check for $40 million. That's
Wow.
what they needed to get this thing going.
Wow.
And it houses the Blackbird. It houses the Enola Gay. It houses a space shuttle. It's really quite a place. It does 80 exhibits it does 80 events per year.
Wow.
So last time I talked to you, we were talking about the arena.
That's right.
The beast is what I would suggest satisfying the needs of an arena, because it would hold just as many people.
Right.
It would do the same thing as the Udvar-Hazy.
Uh-huh.
It would be BEAST stands for Brownsville Exhibition of Air and Space Technology.
Okay.
Okay, and the centerpiece would be the Elon Musk Museum,
Right.
which would have everything Musk,
Right.
all the different enterprises Musk has done, and the ones in the future.
Right.
And this is a one of a kind thing that could inspire the whole community. It satisfies the need for an event space. People would be flocking to BRO Airport.
Right. So would this Beast facility be somewhere near the airport or on airport
It would
grounds?
be at the airport.
Oh, wow.
It would be at the airport. And the last job I had, I worked for Aramco, Saudi Aramco, and they built a building that was it cost between $1 and $2 billion.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably spent 2 or 3 years just deciding who the architect was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
What I would suggest is we're not gonna spend $20 million on an architect and spend 3 years wasting our time. Well, what I suggest is we just build a high bay. Just ask the SpaceX people, ask Elon for some help.
Right.
A set of plans. That high bay that you got down there, why don't you just lend us the plans and we'll just build another one here. We know exactly how much it would cost. We know, and they know how to build these things.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to waste a lot of time. Let's be efficient about this. Elon had already promised that if the airport a Starship,
Correct.
we would just get a high bay and a Starship in sight. Now, I'm not a big fan of asking Elon Musk straight out for the money. I'll leave it to some of the politicians to figure out how to pay for it.
Right.
But this is the kind of thing that we actually need here.
So when you mention the term high bay, you're basically talking a replica of the launch tower?
No, that's the launch tower. I'm talking about the bays where those big green bays with the flat roof where they have the high bar on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you and I cannot go to the high bar.
Right.
Okay, that's only for Kanye and those kind of guys. Okay,
Right.
but we can have one right here at the airport,
Yeah.
and we can watch the launches from here.
Yeah.
We can
Okay.
have, we can have, we can, we can have a nice setup,
Yeah. So
and it'd be a great experience.
where is
I'm sorry.
where is the status of that Starship replica? I haven't heard any more on it.
Yeah, it's. I met with the. I met with the manager over at the airport back in, I want to say, May,
Right.
when I was trying to do another. I wanted to do a tailgate. It was starting to get hot. I wanted to have a tailgate indoors, and it didn't work out inside the airport. But I mentioned that I'm interested in some type of a center for students for the community, and he
Right.
said right outside. Just
Yeah.
you can't have it inside the airport building, so build a building next door,
Yeah.
and that's where it started to gain some momentum.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now
Because
I
I
don't want
remember.
to do anything until after the elections,
Of
because
course.
I don't want I don't want this to get too political.
Yes, and obviously it can, I know that, there's some passionate people on both sides of, the issue with regards to SpaceX. And yeah, we definitely don't want to be shaking the trees before the election, that's for sure,
Yeah, I really don't. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of people standing up for SpaceX in the last few months. I haven't seen a lot of slamming either. Just everybody seems to be quiet about it.
Yeah, well, I think part of it is that, there's basically a very thin line when it comes to SpaceX. I mean, as you're well aware of, we've got, I think, close to 2,000 employees sitting over there at Starbase today. Uh,
Hmm.
Day after day, Elon seems to be scooping up, additional federal contracts. The Department of Defense, I believe, has now contracted him for some work for the DoD. And of course, you've got Starlink, expanding, left and right. One of the things that I was talking about to somebody earlier this week is that, down the road, there could be a possibility that he's got a pretty full launch schedule. And while I know that Florida has been identified as the primary launch site, based on additional business coming from the DoD, Starlink, obviously the Falcon 9 launches to supply the space station. His facility there on 39A in Florida may not be enough. We may need to open the site here as a secondary launch site. It just depends on the business, but based on that scenario, as I've told a few people here as well as a few of my political friends, is, there may come a time where we may have more beach closures. Not because of testing, because of the necessity of the commercial activity. I mean, I'm just speculating. I don't know for sure. But
Well, I want to give you the French perspective.
uh-huh.
Okay. So, what do you think about the future of Boca Chica?
Yeah, based on the tweets of Elon Musk and all his team, I think Boca Chica will still remain kind of R&D site.
Correct.
Yeah, and maybe a few launches a year just to check how the Starship's going, the R&D process.
Yeah.
And as soon as the Starship is very reliable, most of the activity will go to Florida. And,
that is true.
And the mass production will happen in Florida. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's true. I mean, right now, those are the plans, but we definitely don't know what the business activity will be in the future. I mean, the other question is, will they continue to manufacture the rockets over at Hawthorne? I mean, there's a logistics problem there. You know, to get those rockets to Florida, that means they can't go through the Panama Canal. They have to go around South America. So one of the things that I was thinking is if I were a logistics person today, when it comes to logistics and shipping, would it not make better sense to move rocket manufacturing to Texas? And then they would be a straight shot all the way to the Gulf, you know, to Florida. You know, I don't know. But definitely the
Uh,
Hawthorne facility is not practical from a long term perspective. You know, I don't know. I
Well,
mean, it'll be
well,
interesting.
let me ask you. Let me ask you. What do people in Brownsville want?
Well, I can tell you
They,
what I
they,
want.
well, we kind of have to start from there,
Yeah,
because people have to kind of voice what they want. Now, the thing is, they call this thing Starbase.
right.
And Elon in his Leno interview last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was actually filmed, he said before we actually put a human being on in a starship, he said we're going to have hundreds of launches
Correct.
before one human being gets on a starship.
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay, I mean that's what he said, but I don't know if that's reality. I mean, maybe they'll be really crazy safe. Who knows? I have
Yeah.
no idea. But the
I
thing
mean,
is,
yeah, go ahead.
well, he's talking about putting 1 million people up there. Where are we going to get these 1 million people from?
Yeah.
We got to make a lot of rockets.
Yeah.
I mean, he's talking about a thousand rockets.
Right.
I mean, we got to stop fooling around. Now, he calls this place Starbase. It was my impression that this whole area was going to turn into a place where we're going to get those 1 million people.
Yeah.
And this is where they're going to be trained. This is
Yeah.
where they're going to learn to fix stuff. This is
Right.
where they're going to learn everything right here. Now, if that's not in Brownsville's blood, do it
So
someplace else.
and Jack, where do you think, without stepping on people's toes and pointing fingers, because definitely I don't like to do that. Um, do you think that the support has to come from our public officials first? I mean, I'll be honest with you. It seems that there's a certain group, of the community that is so they jumped on the bandwagon of the Sierra Club, you know, and then we've got this Native American tribe out there, which, by the way, is not even federally or state recognized, but they're putting lawsuits out there because they're claiming that's their land. And of course, we've got four people from the Sierra Club making over $100,000 a year, wanting to make decisions for the 2,000 employees that are making more than a living wage out there. I don't understand how we can side with the Sierra Club, with regards to when it comes to the jobs that are needed in this area. And I don't know where the resistance is. I really don't. But you're right. I think that we've got to step up and show some level of support, instead of sitting on the fence.
Well, okay, let me ask you this. Out of the 180,000 population of Brownsville, how many people have actually set their foot on the gravel out in front of that Starbase sign?
Probably less than 3%. you know.
Yeah, I don't quite understand. I don't quite understand that,
Yeah.
And the thing is, it is up to the Brownsville people. I mean, if 97% really don't care, well, okay, they really don't care.
Yeah.
But you know, from the perspective of SpaceX, of course, I don't speak for SpaceX,
Right.
but they do they could just sit back and do the R&D for the next 5 or 10 years, see everything else kind of go to Florida, and then in 10 or 15 years, you know, Elon will be 65 years old, 65 years old, and the opposition will have died off.
Correct. Yeah.
And by then it won't be 2,000 people. It'll probably be, you know, 15, 20,000 people. And so he's gonna, you know, I see it happening anyway.
Right. Right. Yeah,
And
it's
even
just
even though, oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, even though Sierra Club, they have $100 million war chest. That's a bad day for Elon.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he can outspend them.
Right.
And you know, I think as we move into the next 5 or 10 years, you know, in 5 years we will be 5 years closer to going to Mars.
Correct.
And the technology is just going to advance.
Yeah.
Whereas the argument against advancing technology is going to go by the wayside.
Actually, one of our viewers says, let's rename Boca Chica Boulevard to Starbase Boulevard. I've got one better. Let's name it Elon Musk Boulevard.
You know, that might happen. That might happen without a lot of. If we did it right now, I don't think it would help the cause.
No,
it would just make people more angry.
I know. I'm surprised I haven't had more of the trolls come on. You know, but yeah, you know, it's something to see what happens. I mean, the other factor here is, you know, NASA needs to get the SLS rocket up and running. Every single day that they find a problem with it is just another feather in Elon's cap, you know?
The problem with that is with the SLS people, they're at my understanding is they're at a cost plus contract, in that every dollar that they spend, they just charge you for that dollar and put a profit on top of that. So they have no motivation to really really bring it, because as far as they're concerned, they can keep on going for another 30 years until they reach their pensions. They're never going to catch SpaceX.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I was telling somebody is that what would be super would be if Elon is able to do his suborbital flight in November, and SLS is still sitting on the launch pad. They're still trying to fix it. I mean, that would be embarrassing from a Boeing / NASA standpoint, but it just tells you that, you know, the hungriest person succeeds, you know, and obviously there is no hunger, you know, when it comes to NASA or the SLS system. You know?
Yeah, I don't want to say anything bad about NASA, and I don't want to say anything bad about Boeing and ULA and those guys. They're just a different animal. I mean, I see how. Okay, I've known NASA. I've worked with NASA people before.
Yeah. And
I've worked. Well, I haven't worked officially with SpaceX guys, but I see how they work.
Yeah.
Just different. They most of them are very young. They didn't spend a lot of time picking up bad habits about how to drag their feet.
Right. Yeah.
And so, in any case, hey, so here's what I'd like to do. You know, I'm trying to get Tailgate 2 going.
Right.
About 2 or 3 days ago that I wanted to do November 5th.
Right.
Okay, now my boys, 2 of them were born on the same day, October 25th.
Right.
And then my oldest was born November 5th.
Right.
And I do what do you call it? I generally do the first Saturday of every month, you know, drone day.
Right.
But I just got hit by the heat the last 2 months, so I've been dragging my feet.
Well,
Okay,
I've got
no,
a shirt there
so
from your website where you're mentioning the tailgate version 2.
version 2 now you saw my wedding anniversary picture,
Right.
and then Erasmo, our our friend here in Brownsville, he does weddings.
Right. Well, I don't know if you know this. He's my cousin.
Okay.
We're related.
Okay.
His father
Well,
and my mother are blood relatives.
I've been following him on his trip to Cairo.
Yeah. Yeah, he takes a lot of trips.
Well, anyway, I was just suggesting to him. Well, I had a couple come here, young couple, and I
Yeah.
thought, wouldn't it be kind of cool if you guys had the first wedding at Starbase?
Yep.
And then maybe 2 months later, I see Erasmo is doing these officiating weddings.
Yeah.
And so I was just chatting with them. I said, hey, how about we do a vow renewal?
Yeah.
I had to make sure my wife would say yes. I tricked her the first time.
Yeah.
But I thought, okay, so on November 5th, we do Starbase Tailgate 2. We
Right.
celebrate my boys' birthdays, and we have a wedding renewal.
Yeah.
A wedding vow renewal.
Yeah. That would be cool. Actually,
Yeah.
I was telling my wife already. I said Jack's getting his vows renewed by Erasmo, So
You too. You too. You do too. Let's get everybody to renew their vows. Of
Wait,
course,
but I'm
it's
not-
the ones that agree.
I've only been married 20 years. I have to wait till 5
Oh.
more, don't I?
No, actually, I looked it up. They say you can do it any time.
Okay. Well, my wife may not agree to a renewal.
Yeah. Hey, there's no sure things. Okay, so anyways, let's kind of massage that around. Maybe he can officiate a bunch of. I don't want to hog it all to myself. Let's have a bunch of people renew their wedding vows.
Yeah.
It'll be a first.
Yeah.
It'll be a first, and we have 4 bulls here on MSX,
Yeah.
and the cows are pregnant again. We can't have 4 bulls here.
Right.
So we should take one of the bulls and kind of have it done in.
Right.
And maybe we can have let's have a real party out there. Let's do some mariachis.
This one is good for hamburgers. Look at what he did to your picnic table.
Look what he did to the bench. But I'm told that's the one we keep, and we take the little bulls and we have those things.
Jack, did he really do that?
Yes, he did.
And why?
Because he's a bull. Bulls do that stuff.
Oh my. When I saw that, I thought, he's got to be kidding. Why would he attack a picnic table?
Well, you know what? He flipped it over. He flipped it over first.
Yeah.
And then a couple days later, he did that. He said, "You guys didn't get the message, so here you go."
Well, definitely I was going to talk about the bull towards the end of the show, but since you brought it up,
Irresistible.
So let's talk about some of the things that you've been, I know that you and the boys have been working on, and you know that I had that episode on Monday with Solar Energy, with those guys from that company.
Yes.
And kind of talk to us a little bit about what you're doing down here over at your place with regards to solar energy.
Yeah, one of our SpaceX friends bought a house about a mile away from us.
Okay.
And he paid $190,000 for it, and it's on a Resaca, and it's kind of, it's kind of. It needs a little help, but the thing is, he asked Tesla to give him a bid for the solar, and they came back with $90,000.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm thinking, if you just kind of pay $1,000 a month for utilities, you'll still come out of just paying the $1,000 a month.
Right.
But $90,000, and I back when we were living in Italy, that's when a 3 kilowatt system would be like 25,000 euros, and you'd have the government subsidizing here and there, but that's a lot of money. That's 30 at that time, that was over $30,000 for a 3 kilowatt system.
Right.
And I was talking to solar panel suppliers back in China, and they said, well, 3 kilowatts of solar panels is maybe $5,000.
Right.
And I go, well, what about the the inverter and stuff? Oh, another $2,000. I go, how long does it take to install? It's just 2 days. And so I told them about the 25,000 euros, and they go, what? So you got the Chinese saying, hey, that's a ripoff, because the panels were all from China, and they're putting them in, and it was just no way to get solar power for the people. And I'm not an engineer, but I thought, well, wait a second, what if you just got a very, very small solar solar setup, just enough to run a mini split?
Yeah.
Because it's hot in Texas, it's hot in Italy, and you don't need to cool your whole house. You just need to be comfortable.
Right.
And so we came here a year and a half ago, and I started experimenting with the first solar system, and that was put on the van. And now we wanted to get some solar panels and try a little bit larger system. And so we're just kind of building it from the ground up to see what the minimum is. And now we're kind of doing the next iteration, where we have 15 panels. We have about 7,000 watts of power on the roof right now.
Okay.
And we have what's called a hybrid inverter, and it takes the power from the solar panels and it pushes it into the grid where it's shared among all the users on the MSX property.
Okay.
So, but we tried before that. We had just I think 10 panels, 4,000 watts. And it would run our air conditioner from 9 to 5.
Wow.
Free.
Wow.
But now when it's going, it's powering up everything here.
Wow. So
like I said, just trying to do it the non-$90,000 method.
Right.
And like I said, I don't know what your setup is at home, but if you just get a small setup with 5,000 watts of panels, which is maybe 12 panels, 10 panels, mm-hmm. It'll run your air conditioner all day long. The question then is, are you going to do batteries?
Right.
Batteries cost a lot of money. You can if you do a hybrid system, at least what you can do is cut out your during the time when the sun's out, you're covered. You got all your utilities covered.
Right.
It's just at nighttime you're going to have to use the grid. If you don't have batteries.
Right. Well, it's pretty interesting. I know that I was trying to understand, how this all worked, especially with the guys that I had on Monday, and mm-hmm. their solution was these trees that actually have branches with solar cells on them. And I took out my electric bill and I told them, well, I use 2,346 kilowatts of electricity on a monthly basis, give or take. Mm-hmm. How many trees would power my house? They claimed that I only needed 2 trees. So I am going to have a follow-up show, and I've challenged them for a follow-up show because I want to see a site, an actual house that is powered by these trees. I've got a couple of neighbors. They've got solar panels. My neighbor here next door, a couple of houses down over there. They've got solar panels as well. I haven't spoken to them, as far as, how it's worked out for them, both from a technical standpoint or a financial standpoint, but I see a lot of that popping around town, you know. I have heard that the only hindrance lately for additional installations has been our local utility company, PUB. So I have no idea why they're stalling these folks from getting their installations completed, but it just makes no sense, from the utility company's standpoint. I would think they would benefit from the extra energy that they could buy back, but maybe they don't need it. I don't know, you know.
Well, management, employees, just means more work.
Yeah, yeah.
They like it. They like it the way it is, and why ruffle their feathers? I made a call into Magic.
Yeah.
Because right now I have AEP.
Yeah.
And I wanted to call Magic to see whether or not I could get some kind of solar a net meter that I could feed back into the system, or even I have enough room here. I could put a megawatt of solar panels up.
Yeah.
And pay, power into the system. And the engineer says, "Well, I'll get you to the business, to the business guy." And quite frankly, I don't know if the business guy. Let's put it this way: they do not have one solar array here in the area. Not that I know of. I haven't seen anything here. There's one at Starbase.
Yeah.
A small array. I think it's like 2 acres. They said they were going to do 5 acres, but I don't know if they have. So I don't think that the business guy has ever actually done the business of putting an array together. So why should they? It's not it's just more work for them.
Right. Well, one other picture that caught my attention is that you guys posted the boys were working on some kind of plotter. So can you kind of explain what this is?
Alex?
So basically, it's a pen it's a pen that can draw anything we want on, let's say, a piece of paper, or like here a whiteboard.
Right.
And you have a program on your computer that does the hard work for you. So you just have to put an image. Well, in fact, it's a vector image of what you want to draw, and the software does all the math for you. So
wow. And were these pictures drawn by the device?
Yeah.
But you can make it okay. The brains of this thing is the Subotics board. It is an Arduino.
Okay.
And the Subotics board is an item that the boys here they'll be selling these on Amazon.
Okay.
And we've introduced maybe about 30 of them into the community. I don't know if people really understand what the power of this thing is. You can get a little 6-year-old to play to make a piano out of Play-Doh or vegetables or something like that. So they can start doing stuff with it, but it is sophisticated enough where you can make a plotter with it.
Wow.
And it controls this one controls 3 servos. So you can actually put a servo, it's a stepper motor.
Yeah, 2 stepper and 1 servo.
Yeah, 2 stepper motors, 1 on each side. So those murals that they have downtown?
Right.
You could actually have it outline that mural for you. Well, if you're sophisticated enough, you can connect up an air compressor and actually have it paint the whole mural for you, but that's a little bit more work.
Right.
But you can have you can have a giant whiteboard on the side of a building. The whole building is covered with a whiteboard, and you can have a little kid sit there and design what he wants this thing to draw.
Wow.
Full size.
Wow.
But these are these things that wow is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And I fully believe a reasonably competent 12-year-old could do this.
Yeah. One of our viewers is asking, Jack, what is the lifespan of the solar panels currently in use? Do you know what the lifespan is?
Yeah, you know what? I don't think that there's. I don't really think there's any failure with these things.
Yeah.
The panels that we use. Okay, from my research, these panels are basically a personal tax strategy financially.
Yeah.
They make no sense for me to go out and pay full retail for these panels.
Okay.
Makes absolutely no sense. But I was able to buy these panels. They're 2018 panels. They're fully tax depreciated. Somebody took the tax credit. Somebody took the full depreciation, and now there's no more tax purpose in having these panels out there in the array. So they take it apart so they can do it again.
Yeah, but what is?
It's all.
I think what he's referring to. I think because I spoke to this particular person earlier, and what he's referring to is that he thought that the actual solar panel over time degraded X amount of percentage.
Very, very slow. I think I looked it up. It's like 0.2%.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
Actually, the lifespan is more than 25 years because I heard about people that do studies on that. The old panels that were installed 20 and 25 years ago, it was the first panels that were installed in the world, and they were okay, no sign of very bad shape or so they didn't know about the lifespan, but the old ones are at least 20-25 years.
Yeah, and they're still functioning.
Yeah, and with the new ones, I think with a better quality or the science is going on, improving things. It might be even longer. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jack, one of the questions that I had was, and maybe you know the answer to this or not, but what is a reasonable cost for a solar panel installation for, let's say, a 2,000 square foot house? I mean, I've heard some astronomical quotations from some of these solar companies out there. And I've heard $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. But what do you think a reasonable price would be for a 2,000 square foot home? Let's say using 2,500 kilowatts per month.
2,500 kilowatts?
Yeah. Or
that one.
Kilowatt hours.
That one
kilowatt hours.
You can get actually somebody can figure that out, pencil that out perfectly. The problem becomes, what do you want it to do? Do you want it to be completely off grid?
Well, it would be nice. But
okay, being off grid costs money.
Yeah.
For example, okay, let me ask you, what are you cooking with? You going to cook with propane? You're going to cook with electricity?
Well, I'm only allowed electricity in my neighborhood. We don't have any gas lines.
Okay. I mean, do you bake cookies all day long?
No.
Okay. Well, that's a problem. Okay. Like we tell Helen, before we got this thing sorted out, we said, Mom, if you're gonna bake or you're gonna cook, cook when the sun is up.
Yeah.
Don't wait until the sun goes down and start cooking, because you're gonna burn out our batteries. Then with your 2,000 square foot house, it depends. How much insulation do you have? Are you going to air condition all the whole 2,000 square feet all night long?
Yeah.
Or are you just going to do certain rooms?
Yeah.
A lot of these questions. That's where you get into these $90,000. You got power for 2,000. That house that I told you about, that's over near that Resaca, that was $90,000. That's not even a 2,000 square foot house.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
but it's okay. A Tesla panel, a 10,000 watt Tesla power wall, just one unit. You need one for every 10,000 watts. Is $6,500.
Wow.
Just for the battery. And so if you want to do 25, you might need 3 of those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's just right out the door before anybody's lifted in. That's almost $20,000 worth of batteries.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then wire's expensive. And then the panels, you can get the panels for is maybe $500 a piece, a dollar. Okay, they say that installed, you're talking about $1.10 to $1.40 per watt. Okay, so you got a house, 2,000 square feet. You're probably going to put, if you want a beefy, you're probably talking about 10 kilowatts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just the installed price on some on the panels, you're talking about maybe $12,000, $13,000 just for the panels.
Wow.
And then you got another $20,000 for batteries, or you can forego the batteries and just do a hybrid where you're pushing back into the grid.
Right. So really, the quotations that I've seen from a few people may not be so off the mark after all. It may be what it is,
Yeah. Well, they have to make a profit.
Right.
And if they punch a hole through your roof, you're going to be all upset. I mean, the thing is, they have to pull permits. They have to hire people. Those people need workman's comp insurance, and
right.
This and that, and
yeah.
And I mean,
I understand.
Well, the thing is, yeah, I mean, or you can do it with batteries are a big deal right now. But you know what? Just the other day we had that lightning storm. You probably saw what happened to us. We're sitting in here watching old episodes of Alias while we're waiting for the line to get fixed outside.
Right. Well, talk to us about what's going on. I believe on Saturday we've got this event here.
Okay, I got a call from Victor de los Santos,
yes,
who's with the
I know him.
Star Society. Yeah. Yep. Anyways, he's having an event on over at Market Square. They're going to be doing some stargazing, and he made a promise that there's going to be some STEM activities. And so the person who was going to do it couldn't do it for some reason. So he called me up and he said, "Oh, can you do something?" And I go, "Oh, gee, because I can only speak for myself. Okay, my kids are getting to the age where if I ask them to do something, you know what? They almost never say no to me, and because I know where their limit is.
Yeah.
Okay, if I ask, I just don't ask them to do unreasonable stuff.
Right.
And I give them the choice now. And they're young men now. And I said, well, Victor has this little issue. And they look at me and I go, well, you guys, we're not committed to do anything. And then I started talking about, well, doing this and doing that. And then I, in the time that we've been here, we've got kids to learn how to do 3D printing. They have 3D printers now, and they're getting proficient about it. And so it's always been my policy. Nobody cares about seeing a 60-year-old Chinese guy running a 3D printer. Okay, nobody cares. And at this point, I think the community, most of the people who know us in the community, nobody cares that my kids know how to use a 3D printer. They know how to use a 3D printer. They can probably put them together blindfolded now.
Yeah, yeah.
But what I think is really more impactful in the community is to have people from the community that maybe we've kind of give a little nudge to get a 3D printer,
right?
Have them come up. So that's what I spent my the last 24 hours doing, is just contacting these people and asking them if they would like to come on Saturday and bring their 3D printers to show the community that number one, they can do it. Right. Number two, if they can do it, then other people in the community can do it. That's what we do. We kind of give the nudge to people to make them do it themselves. That's what we got Alex here doing. He's welding. He's using a plasma cutter. He's doing what else? He's eating hot dogs at Costco. I told his dad that I was going to just give him a bunch of experience. He's met RJ Mitty.
Yeah,
he doesn't even watch Breaking Bad.
Yeah, look at that. He met RJ.
Yeah. Alex doesn't watch hasn't watched Breaking Bad. His father doesn't in Toulouse doesn't watch Breaking Bad, but his buddies do. So I sent this picture to his dad. I said, well, I know you don't watch it, but you got buddies who watched it. So now you can show that your son is taking pictures with Flynn.
Well, definitely. I mean, he met RJ. He went over to Costco. He went over by the Elizondo building. And then he had some contraption over here. I'm not sure what he was doing over here. But I definitely was curious whether he had finished all his pancakes there,
I think he did the pancakes. He's a young man. Okay, he can pack it away.
Now, what were the boys doing here? I was a little confused here. Right here.
Which one?
The barrel. What was going on here at the corner?
Yeah, they were transforming this barrel into a barbecue. Yeah.
Okay, so Colin, the SpaceX engineer. Yeah. Okay. So what was this last Sunday? Yeah, I'm in the clean room of MSX, and I had purchased 6 barrels last year. Some guy was selling them for $10 a piece, and I had no idea how many I needed, and I had no idea what I was going to use them for. But I figured I should have some because I'm in Texas. And so at $10 a piece, I had room in the van. I go, okay, well, give me 6, just an arbitrary number. Mm-hmm. And so, Colin took one and he made a fire bin out of it so he can have raging fires. And then we use the other 5 as kind of like supports for benches for countertops. Mm-hmm. And so on Sunday, I'm in the clean room, and Colin is looking at this barrel, the one bench with 3 barrels holding it up. And he goes, I'm wondering whether or not we can make it just stand up with just 2 barrels. I go, well, you're an engineer. You can make rockets stand up and all that stuff. So so we took one out, and he says he wants to make a barbecue out of it.
Right.
So here we go.
Wow. Well, we've got some more pictures here. He got to eat Mexican food. I don't know how many times he got to eat Mexican food, but he's there. And then what was he doing here? Right here. On this one.
I don't know.
In the middle, I was slamming the metal plates that was standing for years in the pond we have outside. It was covered with a very thick layer of rust, and so I was slamming again and again with a big hammer to remove that rust, to have a clean surface to cut off.
Now, was this going to be something for the tractor?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
it was that hook? It was that hook thing?
Yeah. It's a hook. They call it a subsoiler, And
Okay.
what we need to do is, we had an issue with the electrical here at MSX. The previous owner had taken a direct bury cable, a cable that was strong enough, stiff enough that you can just direct bury it into the ground.
Uh-huh.
But he put it into a conduit instead.
Okay.
And I think something happened where
Too many trucks
Yeah.
went over.
yeah. So the electrical line just basically just broke.
Wow.
And so fortunately we had solar and
Yeah.
batteries, so we could function during the day, no problem.
Yeah.
And so we got by for about 2 weeks until we got the wire ordered. We had to actually figure out a strategy to do this thing.
Right.
And we wanted to wait for Alex to get here so he could participate in this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we got it. We got back online. Let's see. It's been about a week now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been really good for a week. Now the thing is, we have to bury the cable without the conduit.
Okay.
And in order to do that, we want to build this subsoiler, which basically cuts like a knife
Okay.
into the ground. Instead of taking a backhoe and really plowing stuff up, which
Right.
takes a lot of time. Plus, we don't have a backhoe. What you do is you make this knife, this subsoiler, and you just cut like a 1-inch groove in the soil.
All
And
right.
so it takes a lot less energy. And we just happened to get a tractor when we bought the property here.
Yeah.
And so we just didn't have a subsoiler, and so we decided to make one.
Yeah. Oh wow, that is kind of cool. You know.
Yeah, because we're a maker space. We make stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So Alex, have you enjoyed your stay?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very cool, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, we definitely are glad that you visited us. We it's not very often we get people from France, so it's kind of cool. I know that you're going to be here for probably another day or two, right?
It leaves tomorrow at 3:30, I think.
Yeah.
Oh my. Well, definitely I know that you learned quite a bit, staying with the Yuens here, and I hope that you really enjoyed your stay, and hopefully everybody was very nice, and you had a good time, and
Oh yeah.
you're always welcome back.
I will do everything in my power to go back.
Yeah, well, that's you're always welcome here. And Jack, I know we've gone for over an hour here, but I know that you've got some events that you've got my support on. You know how to reach me. You need any help? I'm always busy.
You got to ask your wife if you can get your vows renewed by your cousin Erasmo. Okay, you know what? I don't need to be the only guy who does it first. I would love it to be a big thing. So maybe 20 years from now, 15 years from now, we look back and say we did this back at Starbase. We had our vows renewed and all that stuff. Hey, why not? What's it gonna hurt? And your wife's gonna say, "Oh, honey, you are so romantic."
Well, she'll probably be saying, that the bureau will be in Mars.
Hey, this will be the closest thing to being married in Mars.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So
yeah.
why not do it? But make it a thing. Let's see if we can get others to do it too. It's November 5th, and it's your cousin Erasmo, and why not? Just have some fun.
Yep.
Okay.
All righty, Jack. Well, once again, I thank you for coming on. And like I said, whatever help you need in some of your future events, just let me know. I'm always busy with podcasts, but I'll make the time somewhere.
Okay.
All righty, Jack. Thank you, Alex. Have a safe trip back home, and we hope to see you soon.
It's bon voyage.
Bon voyage. That's right. Alrighty, guys.
Okay.
Have a good
Good night.
evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.